The following session was recorded live in San Antonio, Texas for the 2003 CALLERLAB Conference. This is tape number 27, Handi-Capable.
Well, welcome to the Handicapable panel. My name is Michelle Jacobs. I'm from New Jersey. I call for 2 Handicapable groups back in Jersey. I've been calling we just had our 10th anniversary just about 2 weeks ago. So I'm really happy to say that the 100 Stars and the Archangels. And if you've ever called for Handicapable clubs, it's a wonderful experience. If you haven't called for them before, we have lots of wonderful things to tell you, to let you know what Handicapable square dancing is, how to get involved, techniques that are used, and everything. The gentleman who's my panelist today, I met back in 1997 at the Orlando National. I had taken my Handicapable groups down to the National for the first time, trying it out and checking out the Handicapable Hall. And we ran into Jerry, and Jerry was wonderful. I was still new to this. I was just a square dancer who figured I'm a special ed teacher. I've been square dancing for 10 years. I guess I can give this a shot. And Jerry had a lot more experience than I did and did a wonderful job helping all of us have a wonderful time at the convention. So my panelist is Mr. Jerry Yerby from Auburn, California. He's a member of he has the Guys and Dolls Handicapable Club and the Mother Lode Squares Handicapable Clubs. He's the chairman of the first West Coast Handicapable Convention, and we will both be excited to tell you about that. He's a board member of the U.S. Handicapable Association, both of us are, and he's from Auburn, California. And here's Jerry.
Thank you. Welcome to the first official Handicapable Special Interest Group panel meeting. I guess it became a panel meeting because we haven't had our actual first committee meeting other than Michelle and I. We practice square dancing by email, and we do planning by email, and so this is a great time for us to get together. Michelle mentioned that we are having our first National Handicapable Convention on the West Coast in July. There are some flyers. There have been some out in the hallway there. We've got 4 different handouts for you that are coming around. If you don't have them, we'll share those with you and go through them a little bit. But as I mentioned, this is a special interest group, and it is what I would call niche calling. It is like all other calling, it's teaching, but it's to a special needs group. And we're finding that the interest lies a pretty broad spectrum. Michelle and I have been teaching primarily learning disabled, but with my learning disabled groups, we've also worked with people in assisted living care centers and wheelchair groups, blind dancers. And so we're hoping to stimulate some interest and get some focus groups on that. As we get through our session, I believe we've got about an hour and a half. We'll touch base on a lot of those particular issues. I would like to recognize Deco Duck. He's here in the front row, and he's joined us for our session at 5 o'clock. He's having a special session himself. And what is the title of that, Duck? Therapeutic dancing. Oh. Yeah, okay, he's going to demo it apparently. Okay, good. The first handout I'd like to share with you, I'm going to just kind of tell you that I've only been square dance calling about 12 years. I've been dancing since 1965. I started late in life. But I had taught about 3 new dancer classes, plus when I had the opportunity and was invited to get a Handicapable group started in Sacramento. And this first handout that I've given to you is entitled 40th National Square Dance Convention, and this is a panel that we put together there, and a handout which I like to just share with you and without making any changes, because it goes through basically the formation of a Handicapable club. My group in Sacramento, the Guys and Dolls, which now has Guys and Dolls 2 because we had to split off as we advanced, and then a third club actually called the Mother Lode Dancers. But this one is an outline which kind of goes through what the folks who started the club, who happen to be square dancers, plus dancers, with a Down syndrome son, and what they went through in getting the thing started. And it gives you some good background to work with, because it kind of tells you the needs that they identified. It goes through the resources that they found. And of course, we've found a lot more since, but this is good information right here, the basics. It tells you there is a letter from the organizers that kind of gives what they went through. And then there's my perspective. And if you'll look, it's kind of the cover, that at page 6, I believe. This one may not be a whole one. This particular one is all mixed up. I hope they're not all. One of them says Caller's Perspective. If you can find that page, I'd like to just share a little bit with you on that. Has everybody found that? Okay. How many of you have dealt with learning disabled or handicapped groups before? Okay. Do we actually have some clubs going, or just teaching, or one-night stands? Or... You have a club going in San Antonio now? Good. Check. Nothing back. Good. Could you identify yourself? I think we're on tape. I don't know. What's this thing?
My name is Ed Wilson. I am from San Antonio, and I've been teaching mentally retarded square dancers for about 15 years. Now, I'll tell you, it's for the ones who have not done it, it's something to look forward to it. When I first started, I thought, how am I going to do this? These people don't know the right hand from the left hand. Of course, it took me back a few years to my regular class there, and they didn't know the right hand from the left hand either.
That's right. Okay, and I saw a couple other hands go up that had some experience. You know, just share that experience first, and then we'll go on.
Last month, we had Dean Emery into Fort Worth, and we did Saturday afternoon and a Sunday afternoon workshop, and one in Dallas, one in Fort Worth. As a result of that, we started 2 weeks ago on Thursday night with a class in Fort Worth, and we will start another one in June in Dallas. So this is a very beginning in that area.
Good.
My name is Alan Woods from Fort Worth.
Alan, you're already world famous. Dean Emery is the chairman of the U.S. Handicapable Committee, and he did get the opportunity to do an extension. He was out 2 weeks ago and worked with Alan's group, and we're just really happy to have you get started. Welcome.
Hi, my name is Jane Carlson. I call for a group called HIA, Handicapped Young Adults. They've been in existence for 31 years, and I've been calling for them close to about 12 years. And as of the last dance, we had 5 full squares with 2 helpers coming in, or aides coming in to help them out. But I've been calling for them. We keep getting newer dancers. They are Down syndrome and retarded handicapped. So, but they come fully dressed and love the dancing. Yeah.
Wonderful, thank you. I think there was someone in that row too.
My name's Elizabeth Newton. I'm from San Antonio. I came with Ski and Kathy, and at their invitation. And my interest is not new. It's just that the avenues for me have started opening to where I can start doing more with groups. So my background is to work with individuals in a group of non-handicapable, or I don't know what to call that, but anyway. The regular folk dancers, so I worked with one high-functioning adult that took a tango class with me, and I thought this will never work. Tango's hard for dancers, much less a non-dancer, handicapable. And the instructors worked with her, and she's very tall and a little bit clumsy and did an excellent job. So when I saw that, I said, if they can teach my friend a tango, who's tall and big feet and clumsy, but has an interest to learn and enjoys it, I said, I can do that. And so that's where my self-motivation really got going. That as far as working with individuals, several of them, a group of them, in a big group of non-handicapable, I've got experience there. Huh. Thanks.
Great, thank you. I'm very pleased to see that we have some people with a little bit of understanding and experience, and they will understand and hopefully be able to share with you the emotional ties that you can develop with these folks and the rewards that you get back, because I can assure you that whatever you get yourself as a caller, you'll get back 10 times. And there is funding sources, and there is money to be made as far as to reimburse you for your expenses and to keep you going as a caller. We'll have to touch on some of those resources later, including adult education programs and a county and association for retarded citizens, and we've just found quite a few ways to do those things. Going on, if I can, just share quickly with you this caller's perspective. And throughout this presentation, I hope that I don't get too emotional, because I really do. I get into this, and I think it's a trait that you'll find that most callers who will attach to this will have. They'll develop a relationship and an attachment to all of the dancers that you can't really realize or get with any other type of dancers or dancing. It's just a special thing. But I had only called about 3 different honey dancer classes, as I mentioned, and I got the opportunity, and my title in the caller's perspective is Nervous Who, me? I got the invitation to go do this, and I had never seen a handicapable group. And as I wrote it, I worried about the first night probably more than anything else I've ever done. And I've been a performer involved in music since I was 4.
I've done all kinds of music and performances and vocals and all those kind of things, but this one had me going because I say, how do I start? How fast can I go? What kind of music should I use? How critical are the parents going to be? Will the dancers participate? Will they like me? Well, I know several things now, and let me share some of those with you. The first of all, I suggest you relax, enjoy, and relish the love for life and the love for music and the love of attention and the love these folks have to share. The first evening, at 6:30, carrying my amplifier, dressed in black boots, black pants, bright western shirt, I walked into the dance hall with all the nervous energy and butterflies just about out of control. And this is true. I didn't know for sure how I was going to coach it. Once inside the door, the first person I saw was Richard. Lorna and Chuck are the founders of this group. And Chuck's son is probably about Al's size, and about 23, and stout as an ox. Anyway, Richard stood in front of the door, and as I entered, he just stretched his arms out, and he said, "Randy Travis!" You know, I was but then he gave me a big yellow rock, a giant bear hug, and I just melted. From there, of course, my life's changed. And it's been a wonderful change. I had 4 children I own, and they were all normal and very successful. And now I'm blessed with a lot of them. Going through the rest of this list, that's a list of my favorite music. A teaching list, which U.S. Handicapable Committee has been around for quite a while. And they have formed a group called HandiLab. I don't think that was ever really a spin-off of CALLERLAB. That HandiLab was the caller's way of getting together and trying to develop a list for calls that would be acceptable on an open floor in a national convention. And that became their teaching list. From there, there's been several variations. My groups now dance through plus. They aren't full plus, and they don't do all the multiple variations of every move, but that's why we had to split it up. My group has been going 8 years, and we now have a Monday night new dancer class twice a year start. And after the first year, those people have to serve as angels for another year before they even have an opportunity to go on. We have developed 4 levels. So they have to have 2 years as new dancers, basically. We do acknowledge them as angels, and we have all kinds of celebrations. And then now they're allowed to go on, if they're capable, and 1, 2 to level 3, which is another night. And they're getting the balance of the basic and a touch of mainstream. They have to do that program for a year and then another year as an angel at that level before they can even be thinking about going to the next level of level 4. We have had a lot of parents and care providers join in as dancers. I now have 4 couples of parents who are dancing plus with regular clubs as well as with my groups. They are basically the chaperones, the drivers, the care providers, but a lot of our folks are also in assisted living facilities or in independent living facilities, and the hardest group to work with is where they are actually in a care home. And that's care providers tend to drop them off for babysitting and get the money for their care and so on, and don't participate. And they don't really take an interest as getting them to festivals and really letting the dancers share in what they have learned. Also in that little packet is an information and story on the Pioneer Squares. This is a group that's been in the San Francisco area for nearly 20 years. And there's also one on the East Coast in Pensacola, Florida, the Special Steppers, and they've been going a little over 25 years. So we do have some history and some resources to work with. We're hoping to, through CALLERLAB, expand this whole program and share with you and get your interest going. And we'll touch on one of the other handouts that I have on what we consider to be the mission and vision statement. Well, hold questions for a while. Michelle.
All right. If you look at another handout, it actually has the Handicapable symbol on the front of it, and it says CALLERLAB San Antonio. I kind of defined in here, especially for people who didn't know a lot, because I found the past 2 years I've done a Birds of a Feather session here at 5 o'clock, and actually there was quite a bit of interest here, but some people when they see me out in the square dance world, they go, "Michelle, I know you go for handicapable clubs, are they in wheelchairs?" And that's what I get a lot of the time, and I'll go, I said no, I said there are wheelchair, square dance clubs, and I kind of define here who they are. I said, yes, some are developmentally disabled, which is a wide range of abilities. Individuals in wheelchairs, some individuals with a wide range of abilities. Jerry hit on that because he has his couple different groups that he does at different times. I actually have one square that I tried for even just one tip to kind of further them along a little bit. I'll do it once a night just to help the group that can, because it's not fair. There are some that are able to do a lot more. So what makes them different? Slower pace. There's more repetition required when you do things. They may be delayed in their motor skills, their social skills, language, even practicing skills. Some of them may perseverate on things, like you may hear about the same story over and over again when you go to the group and stuff, but that's part of that person's personality, and that's something to keep in mind. Social skills, like Jerry said, are very affectionate. They're not always conscious of personal space, so if that's something you're not sure of and you are going in the first night, that's something you need to know. I mean, I'm a very huggy person. That's something I like to do. So, but if you're not, that's something to be prepared. They see you as somebody who's going to give them you care about them, you're here to give them a good time, and they love you for it, and they will always love you for it. Sometimes you will see some stubbornness, which are sometimes some of the traits of their abilities and things like that, but you'll learn different once you know their personalities. Just like if you're doing a mainstream class with another club, you'll find, everybody's got their personalities. In some ways they're very different, but in the same way they're just like you and me. We all have our different personalities, and you'll get to know that. What makes us the same? And these are the important facts. They love dancing just as much as we do. They may be delayed, but they're not kids. You think, they're delayed, and they may not talk, be able to converse on a high level, but they're not kids. They have similar interests. They like racing, they like NASCAR and sports and music. They're out to have a good time, which we all know for square dancing. That's the ball game right there. They need to have the same structure, rules, etiquette that square dancing provides. I was in a panel yesterday with Jim Mayo, and they're talking about teaching, greeting everybody in your square and everything. And just because they have disability, you have to teach them the same things, which makes it, when they do get to go out, and we want other people to dance with them. So we do need to teach them, about your partner. I mean, I concentrate on holding hands all the time when they're doing different things. And at the end of the square, thanking everybody in their square. And that's really important to teach them that. Sometimes I find, like I'd say, maybe once or twice a year, it's time for a pep talk. Sometimes their attention spans are a little short, or, you kind of have to be very flexible when working with these guys. So sometimes it's like, all right, guys, we need to get refocused. And they love praise, they love hugs even more than everybody else. So the more input they get from you, the happier they are. What does it take to call for a Handicapable Club? A love of this activity. Like I said, I was a dancer, and I really had no interest in calling. But because of my love of being a special ed teacher and my love of square dancing, I figured, what the heck, I wanted to give it a try because I wanted to take something I loved to these wonderful people. And flexibility, like I said, an open mind, just be able to, kind of, like I said, the full moon, I believe in the full moon. Sometimes stuff you've gone over and over again, you'll find one night they're on. Like we had our anniversary dance 2 weeks ago. Those guys were on. They were psyched. They were revved to go. We got the two groups together. And then we just had it last week, and they couldn't remember, alley and left, being able to do the right and left round again. And you just gotta be flexible, go back to stuff as long as they're dancing. They just want to have a good time. What do they need from their caller? A smiling face. That's a big one. They teased Jim Mayo at the banquet yesterday, John Jones, about having a smile on his face. But that's a big thing. It does come across over the microphone and lets them know how accepting you are of them. Consistency, a night of fun, accepting them for who they are, a positive outlook, a sense of humor, and a commitment to the square dance norms. Remember, they have different learning styles. Like we have other seminars about the learning styles that especially fits here. Appeal to all the senses. Sight, hearing, touch, smell, taste, anything you can think of, whether it be, somebody may be a learner that is better going through their auditory channel. Somebody else may need to see it. Somebody may really need to touch and feel it to get the mood down. So make sure you hit all those different senses. Use verbal cues or key phrases. Like sometimes I let my dancers fill in the blank. You're looking at sure, and they tell me who, but it's a check for them, but gets them involved also. Like I said, go out and show them. Use your environment to help you. Like we're pretty much in the same place all the time. So I'm able to tell them different spots, like especially if I'm teaching a new move, telling them a specific part of the building or what they're looking at. And sometimes if you have the ability to be in the same spot, I would recommend that too. Like if you're looking for a place to hold your dances, have the consistency of being in the same place. Because they become more relaxed. It's something they become familiar with. Being in a new place between new sounds, they may not be able to hear totally, so if you can be in the same place. Otherwise, if you're not, just be conscious of that you need to help them with that, because you'll find you'll have to help them adapt a little bit more. Need additional props. I've had beads in my car for the past probably 3-4 years, because some nights, like I said, aloe man left, forget it, And I thought about making bracelets for them. Sometimes, like I talked to somebody recently about putting tape on the floor when I first started, and I did, so they knew where home was, to kind of get the boundaries of the square and everything. So don't be afraid to use props. You may be afraid, can you take them away? If you do, and they accept the challenge just like everybody else. After a while, when you think they become comfortable with it, all right, it's time to take the tape away. We're going to see. You guys know where home is. Let's go. So don't be afraid to do that. And in music and rhythm and the intonation of your voice, sometimes I find I make my bass a little stronger so they can hear the beat a little bit more to the music. And I do slow down the record speed a little bit. If you're interested in calling for a Handicapable Club, what do? Go to a Handicapable dancer exhibition. Now, I said there is the Handicapable convention every year. There are a few groups that make it to the nationals now and do exhibitions, so please go see them. They're wonderful to watch. such a wonderful feeling, and you feel so proud for them, and I know they are so proud of themselves. Go to an activity sponsored by an agency. There are the different agencies out there, like the Association for Retarded Citizens that Jerry had mentioned. That's actually through, my groups are both through. They're the recreation programs. United Cerebral Palsy, then Muscular Dystrophy, there's Special Olympics. There's different ways to get involved. Search the web for information. There is USDA has been very supportive, and they have a Handicapable committee, so you can go to their website. They have some information. There's also the U.S. Handicapable Dance Association that Jerry and I were talking about. This pamphlet right here, I actually copied things off of the website so you could see what the website was about. Dean Emery takes care of the website, and there's different things from our list of calls to the different groups and where they are. And if you know of a Handicapable group, please feel free. Let Jerry or I know. We're trying constantly to find out what groups are out there so we can network and do things and for everybody. So please, if you do know of any groups, let us know or go to the website, let Dean know. We're trying to make it. We're trying to connect. We're all out there so we can support each other. How do you get a group started? I know Jerry had a lot of parent support in his group. I find, like Jerry had mentioned, through some of the group homes and stuff, it's more of a babysitting service. And I find a lot of that with my groups personally. But all the groups are different. Like I said, Jerry's has a wonderful supportive group of parents. Every time we've seen their group, the parents are out there. I think the 10 years we've been doing, I've had one parent actually join square dancing. But I have some square dance angels who come out, but not many. So most of the staff drops them off for their parents, and they do see it as a break. I would love to have more parent support. Yes, go right ahead.
How many of you were in the session with Tom Miller and Lonnie a while ago on the party nights? Tom Miller walked in on a party night, one-night stand, and found that it was a dance for parents with Down syndrome children. And this was 15 years ago. And he still has that group, and he has 14 squares. Parents with Down syndrome, they're there.
I'm glad you got to talk to him. Actually, as long as I've known Tommy, I've never had a chance to. I was sorry about that. So locate your dancers to get a group started. I've had some people come up to me, I really want to get a group. Where do I go? Like I said, go to these different associations. Special Olympics holds different things for the different sports throughout your community, so find out about your local Special Olympics. I'm finding a building, find a caller if it's not yourself, and realize, look, Jerry said, this is a niche. This is a special little niche here. And you have to realize that some people are, just like, as a special ed teacher, some people go, oh, how can you do that, Michelle? This is not for everybody. If it's for you, it's wonderful, and the gift that we receive from doing it. Like I said, my dancers give me more, I feel, than I honestly give them. And they become a family to my daughter and myself, so I realize that not everybody can. So if they're looking for somebody, and don't be afraid to say or recommend somebody else, or if you want to learn, they're very patient to learn with you, so don't be afraid that I can't do this, I've never done it before. Like Jerry said, he was petrified. I was petrified the first night. Yes, I had the background, but, you walk through that door and you don't have anything to worry about anymore. So, finding angels. The square dance community back home knows that my groups are there. Like I said, not a lot of them come out, but we've been doing a lot of fundraising that Jerry's going to talk about, and they have been so supportive because they know that we go somewhere every year. And so don't be afraid to use your dancer associations and everything, and let them know that you're out there because they're very supportive. How often do you have the dances? How long of a period of time do you pick? Don't forget attention spans is definitely something to consider here. Just like, all of us, after a day of work or something, and, okay, my attention span only is going to last that long. Just keep that in mind. Insurance, with your CALLERLAB membership, you're covered in everything, but just be aware. You may have some of the associations just asking you, just so you know, so you can let them know about that. Different funding. I know Jerry's going to hit on that, but clothing. And my husband wants to shoot me half the time because he'll come home from one of his dances, and he's got bags of clothes. I have so many clothes in the back of my car, but the dancers know that we're needing clothes constantly and different materials and everything. So get the word out there. They're always, some of your sport dance clubs are having sales at the end of the year or after, once their class graduates, they let their class have it. A lot of them will call me, do you need more stuff, Michelle? The dancers have been wonderful, and I've gotten, all shapes and sizes, so don't, let them know that you could use anything you can. What type of program do you do? Do you want line dances? Do you split the group? How many breaks do you do? If you take a break, don't forget you got to get them back. I find squaring up sometimes is a tough thing, depending on the night. So, some things you just need to keep in mind. What's your goal? A night of fun. Keep everybody dancing. What do you do when it's one of those nights? Don't forget, don't take it personally. Sometimes you go, oh, how could it must have been my fault. I did something wrong. Just know it was one of those nights, and as long as they had a good time, don't forget, that's the goal. So even if you feel like you didn't do a lot of the moves you used to be able to do, as long as they're moving, if they had a good time, that's what you need to use as your goal, not the amount of moves that you're able to do that night. Go to a Handicapable convention. If you've never been to one, find out. Jerry's got it, and we know this year. It is an experience. It's a convention just for these dancers. And we love going to national and things like that, but this is wonderful. It's just for them. and they can get out there and do everything, and it's wonderful to see more and more. The more we go, the more open they are to mixing with the other clubs. I know the first year we went, we were kind of sticking to ourselves and stuff, but every year we go, they're mixing a little bit more and getting to recognize the other groups, and it's like, hey, how you doing? It's so nice to see that over the years we've been doing it. For yourself, have your reasonable expectations. Don't underestimate their abilities, but don't overestimate them either. Kind of find that middle ground for yourself. They are very eager to please, but don't forget to give them a happy challenge. They may have disabilities, but they get bored some night, just the rest of us. They don't need a lot. Like I said, you can keep them busy and stuff, but don't, like I said, don't underestimate them. You'd be surprised that, hey, between wanting to please you and the music and wanting to have fun, they can do quite a bit. Be willing to give of yourself. Like I said, don't blame it on yourself if it's one of those nights. And the rewards are more than you can ever dream of. The last page in the pamphlet I did, and actually I'll read it, but like Jerry said, if I break up, because when I read this, I think of this just being so passionate as they are about them. It says, if you see we are nervous, we are. If you think we may goof, we may. If you think we know all the basics, not yet. If you expect us to be perfect, forget it. If you see us as awkward, we are. If you see us as handicapped, you're right. If you see us as somewhat deficient, so what? If you see us in need of help, help us. If you see us as different, look again and again for someone among you who has not shared our shoes. If you see us as people, fear not to reach and touch us, for who among you have not desired to be touched and respected? If you see a smile on our face while dancing, smile with us. If you see a twinkle in our eye, share our joy. If you see us as square dancers, above all, dance with us, and keep that in mind. Gary?
Well, as callers, I know you all have challenges, and you have some nights that are up, like Michelle has mentioned, and some that are down, but that's what it's all about, right? But I will tell you that 98% of this is up, and it's up to where you just can't hardly stop it sometimes. I passed a couple of pictures around here of, I think it was the last convention we did, which was Louisville, last year. We mentioned that we have, yes, Handicapable Association, and actually it's mostly been on the East Coast the last 3 or 4 years, 3 or 4 conventions. My wife and I have been going, and they've taken our Sacramento groups back there. And the pictures there is the best promoting the first West Coast convention. So we've really actually expanded the program. But the unfortunate thing that up until this time has been this side of the United States and that side of the United States, and never has it really met. And in California, there are probably 17 clubs that are active right now. Southern California, of course, having the preponderance. One of the founders of the Handicapable program was in San Diego, and she published a nice book some time ago. This is hers, and it's the Alaman Leftovers. There's a club called the Alaman Leftovers now, but anyway, that was the Anns and Andes, I think. It formed in the late 50s, mid-50s, and that club has reformed. They kind of died away, and they have a new color now, and they're coming to our National Handicapable Convention. But with our attendance to the East Coast, we've really got now 2 503c nonprofit corps going on the East Coast and the West Coast, but it is still U.S. Handicapable. The communication channels were missing. We had representation on the USDA. This is just kind of historic and current status for you, so you'll know where that. But that has been lacking. We do have a representative on the USDA, Al Vernon, and his wife, that slips me. Portia, yes, okay. So we really, really appreciate that. They're giving us some financial support for the Handicapable conventions. And they have they have a credit card through USDA for what the fees, some of the transaction fees they get through interchange. When you use that card, all you got to do is use it, and they get some interchange, and that passes through. The funding is actually for the Handicapable program, so I really appreciate that. That's where that comes from. But CALLERLAB, we saw as an opportunity for us to further the program, bring it under an umbrella that can extend the CALLERLAB outreach and the visibility of the Handicapable program. And so Michelle and I grabbed at the opportunity, and I acknowledged Nasser Shakar yesterday and Tim Crawford for helping us with the program. Mentioned I have pictures going around. Take a quick look at them. There's just a few. Those are still photos of the promotion of the next convention. But what I'd like you to do right now is just share with me a little rough video, meet a few of the people, see some of the activities, and you may want to move your chair up. I didn't realize this is going to be a 5-inch TV here. It's kind of small. But you'll get the feel, and what I'm going to have to do, too, because this is being taped, it's hard to get the video on tape, so I'll kind of monitor it, which I didn't want to, but I'll do that. And please appreciate the fact that this was just rough footage that we decided to grab a little of and share with you and see if you could get a feel, meet a few of the people, some of the activities, as I mentioned. And here it's going. And fill in the blank. Meet a few people from Sacramento. What'd you do now?
Karen, good. And your name? Scott, good. You guys dance together a lot? Okay. So, you belong to the guys in the house. Yeah, do you have a good time square dancing? Yeah? How long have you been dancing? You started last. You're fine. What's your name?
Melanie is a young lady that came to us actually in a fetal position. You'd never look up, and her father didn't think she could do it. And she's blossomed and blossomed.
Yeah. You have fun?
She barely spoke to anyone when she started.
Good. Did you go there? Dad, where are you from? From Sacramento. What club do you belong to? Guiding Dolls. How long have you been playing this? Mark. Yeah, where are you from, Mark? San Bernardino. And what's the name of the club you dance with? The club is named what? The Collier Club, the Pioneers, Pioneer Space. Oh, okay, good. How long have you been dancing?
Full plus answer.
How are you? Oh, what's your name? Danny. Where are you from, Danny? Okay. And what club do you dance with? Good. You having a good time square dancing? Yeah.
This is the Center Stage California State Fair this last year. One of my groups in Sacramento. Just this is one of my workshops we had going at another club. We got one successful cut square and one breakdown square. Normally we go for about 100% if we can, but we never get it. That's how I'm going to do it after the toes. I see you have to be flexible with timing, right? This young man, Steve Hartman, is our first handi-capable caller, and I worked with him for a few years, This is his very first night that he was introduced from the floor to just work with the pilot's car. You can hear what this has done to his speech. Really. Nice smooth music is really good to teach too. You hit them in the head just like a lot of dancers, right? This is our first cue. Now, Tina is doing the Macarena. You may not know it, but wait till you see the film. Buttocks. See if I go forward to see the dancers. I have all kinds of mixers, line dancing. On the beat. A lot of fun. It's just a little intermission. They love to do all kinds of dancing, including regular dancing. This is actually at Silver State Convention in Reno last year. Styling workshop.
All these girls, stand with your right hand. Put your right hand in.
This is the color for the Pioneer Squares in San Bruno.
With your right hand. Now with your left hand, grab that petticoat. Pull it up. Now you know you painted this money that petticoat, right? You got a petticoat, right? Okay. Now you're there. You dominate with your hand. Yeah, get a hold of that petticoat, honey. Pull it up. Okay? Because no, pull it up, honey. You're okay. Because you know you paid good money for that. And if you put the petticoat in the middle, there's no midget in there. You can't.
They also like lots of badges. I do a lot of badge presentations at the festival, and so. I'm teaching a mixer here at this is an anniversary dance, I think, for somebody.
1, 2, 3, 4. All right. So start with a voice, left drum, right. Once more, ready? 1, 2, 3. Turn to face your partner and take her both hands. Now we're going to slide 2 steps to the boy's left.
If you want to know what this is, it's White Silver Sands. It's a very good round mixer. It's an old green record that's out of press, but it works.
Slide right here. 1, 2, 3. Go back to the left. 2, 3. Back up for 1, 2. No, forward your partner. 1, 2. And here we go. 1, 2, 3, and 1. Slide right here. 1, 2, 3. Left hand. 2, 3. Back up. 1, 2, 3. Forward your partner. 1.
Line dancing. Yeah, they'll do it all. Doesn't necessarily have to be together. They just go for it. They love the music. They love the beat. This young man here is the world's biggest Kings fan, Sacramento Kings. You have to watch him get with it. Eric just loves it. I'm going crazy here, aren't I? Well, anyway, I think we just missed the stroll. They love to do the stroll. We usually name the king and queen. And this was probably this is workshop. Oh, this is Steve again, about 2 years later. The first one, Steve Hartman. Now this is just a little camp out. We do a couple of camp outs a year, and we usually get all the people, campgrounds involved. We do a one-night stand the first night and a dance the second night. This is just kind of a workshop in the afternoon. Oops, this darn thing. I got the wrong button, sounds so well. Hang on. Play. I should just let it work, huh? Then later on in the evenings, we get the rest of the folks involved. One of the other things I do is I do karaoke, and they love it. If anybody wants to do some karaoke, it's a great opportunity. This is little tidbits from National Convention in Daytona Beach. I'll show you the Grand March and a little exhibition for 2 or 3 clubs. They love to do the Grand March and do exhibition. It's their time to shine. This is Handicapable National Convention. Daytona Beach, we had about 600. And last year in Louisville, I think we had about 480.
on the right. Bow to the corner, join hands, circle left.
Whose club is this, Michelle? It's not Wheatley. It doesn't make any difference.
Do an Alabama left. Both sides of your partner back to back. Ready with the right, do it right and left grand. Left, right, and left. Lead partner.
Oh, here's the Alabama leftovers. Of course, these clubs have been together a little while. They've got some uniforms, and most of them started out with just a vest or just white shirts and overlays on the ladies. I think we recognize this group. It happens to be Michelle's. She didn't know I threw this in. Like any exhibition, you go for 100% success.
Please look at your corner. Next time you faces, swing them and terminate them for me, please.
You talk about developing self-respect and pride. This does it. Pensacola Squares from Pensacola, Florida here coming in. Caller is Frank Cherry.
All right, let's get on right to it.
Williamsburg, Virginia, they came in colonial outfits they had made just for it, and then they danced in downtown Williamsburg, did an exhibition. They were televised for us. Appropriate song, Scotch and Soda, right? No, not really. Nice song, good beat.
I've been so blue, those side of it, promenade to you back someone new.
I'm going to move forward just a little bit so we can get all this in. It's really only about 20 minutes, seems longer. I want you to meet just a couple more of my people and then a couple of their parents.
How long have you been dancing?
Oh, we're almost 5 to 6 years.
Do you enjoy it?
Yes.
What do you like about it?
Lots of fun, lots of friends, and that's the most of it.
Have you been having fun at this convention?
Yes, so does my honey, Steve Hartman.
This is the caller, Steve, her
Yes,
honey.
he lives also in Sacramento.
Woman, right?
And your name is Steve Hartman. And you live where? I'm from Sacramento. I'm Charles McCarran. And how long have you been dancing? 1 year. How's it been in the year that you've been dancing? Pretty good. You having a good time? Mm-hmm.
Real talkative.
I'm from Sacramento.
And how long have you been dancing?
6 years.
Do you like it?
Yes.
What do you like about it?
What?
What do you like about it?
I like the line dance.
You like the line dancing part? Is it?
My name is Diane Reinell, and our daughter Beth is our square dancer.
How long has she been dancing?
About 5 years since Guys and Dolls started.
This lady and her husband are plus dancers. They dance with another club
we
I
live in Penn Valley,
have.
which is near Grass Valley, California, but we used to live in Sacramento, so we bring her down to dance with the Guys and Dolls. It's about an hour drive once a week.
How does she like it?
She loves it. She lives for it.
It's been quite a change in her personality, you think, since she started? Or?
Well, she's just more social than ever.
What sort of changes have you seen in her since she started dancing?
Well, it gives her quite a social opportunity. So, that's one of the main reasons we like to see her involved in these kind of things, because, she gets networking going with other people, other peers, and gives her, a much richer life than she would normally have. But it makes it busy for us. But it's made it fun for us too because we learn how to square dance. We're not really great dancers, but we've learned quite a bit just being around Jerry Yerby and the group. Yeah, where are you from? Auburn. From Auburn? How long have you been dancing?
2 years.
2 years? Do you like it? Yes, I do. What do you like about it?
He's now been dancing basic 5 years.
Dancing part of it, too. What have you been?
Never gets bored.
Yeah, my girlfriend and we live in Auburn, but on Monday nights the Guys and Dolls are down on Greenback, so it's about a half an hour, 35-minute drive for us, but it's been so good for the kids. He has just grown so much as a person. They had basketball on Thursday nights, and then they changed it to Monday nights, and I decided that square dancing was so much more beneficial for him, so we stuck with that. And then Jerry has square dancing class on Tuesday nights up at the Placer High School in the cafeteria. So we go Monday and Tuesday, and eventually I'd like to be taking him Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday night because it's just been so good. Everybody has commented on the changes in his personality and growth, and it's wonderful. It's just been wonderful, and I don't think sometimes Jerry realizes just how much the kids are affected by what he does. He is so good with them and so patient. So it's been a blast. And then
What a testimony, huh? One of the favorite songs you want to put in your box is... Put it in there right along with... They love that song. Every time I put it on, they say, "Oh no," and then they just go to town. It's a Mickey Mouse dance. I hope that you got a little bit of feel for the whole program out of that. It's really an unlimited program, and I feel that it's virtually an untapped opportunity and market. Our program is growing, and it's only held up in its growth by the willingness of people to jump in and participate and get it started. We're going to go through some of the mission statement and things here, and I think it might give you some additional resources. Michelle, you want to add anything to that video, or before we get into the other piece here? No? Okay. Any questions on that? Like I said, it's just a rough start on something that we want to put on CD, actually, and we'll be adding some stuff after our convention in Reno. And then we'd like to be able to send that CD out to whoever wants it, because they can show that to church groups, ARCs, schools, whatever. And I think, something in there will grab you. Okay? You want me to go forward? Okay. Do you all have a piece there that's got the little CALLERLAB Handicapable Committee presented by Jerry Yerby on it? Okay. What I'd like to do is share with you just briefly the mission and vision statement. We've got, maybe we're going to cut just a few minutes short, so I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on this, but I want to go through the outline. And the reason we would cut short is because at 3 o'clock we've been given a slot to actually go with a committee meeting. So I invite all of you who have the time and interest to go upstairs to Colonnade A, and as soon as we can reconvene up there at 3 o'clock, we'll actually have a committee, our first committee meeting. And we have quite a few things to get started on, because we would like to see who we can get involved in the committee and some focus groups started and set it in motion. But the committee function, this is the activity and committee's worksheet that goes through CALLERLAB, and we describe our function, the accomplishments thus far, future activity expectations, membership prerequisites, our mission statement and vision statement. And basically, the function is to provide guidance and assistance to callers regarding calling for handicapable dancers.
and go forward from there with all of the mission statement. The accomplishments are kind of limited because we just formed in November 2002, and the U.S. Handicapable group, as I mentioned, has been in existence for quite a while, and clubs have been around, but it's never gelled together and come under the umbrella with CALLERLAB, and so it gives us a brand new avenue and opportunity. Future activities, just a lot of them. You can read this. I won't read it all to you. We'll go into it in more detail in the committee, but we've shared a few of the concepts and ideas with you. Membership prerequisites: any active member, associate member, or life member of CALLERLAB who's willing to call for or teach handicapable groups on a regular basis or at festivals or special events. So you'll see in our worksheet later as we talk, we're looking for people who are friendly to the handicapable concept and would be willing to, if you're not teaching on a regular basis, at least participate at festivals and so on. Mission statement. Now, this is pretty broad right now, and I think the committee may refine this somewhat as we meet as a committee and we get into our focus groups, but this is what I call our first draft. Michelle and I put this together, and it's to promote, teach, support, mentor, provide guidance to callers to enable them to provide handicapable dancers the opportunity to enjoy the maximum benefit and joy that square dancing can provide. Okay, that really says, I think, just about the whole thing. You can read the rest on your own. But the vision is we feel that this special needs group has a population that is undetermined. We do not know where all of the groups are. We've identified maybe about 33 groups so far, 3 international groups that we know of. There's a good-sized group in Taiwan, and they've come to a couple of our national conventions for handicapables as well as the regular national conventions, one in the Netherlands. And I think there's a whole international opportunity there. There are some callers in CALLERLAB that can give us that outreach for that program. The group can benefit tremendously from modern Western square dancing and its associated activities. We wish to extend the outreach of CALLERLAB and callers, giving the opportunity to develop the handicapable square dance program. I've given you some following note sheets that kind of takes the concepts of the mission and vision statement and gives you a place to put some notes. I want to touch on them real quickly now so that you can maybe consider them a little bit and join us when we reconvene in the committee. But there are a couple of things that are off the mission and vision statement that I just wanted to touch on. Of course, provide guidance and assistance to callers is our first and utmost energy, and we have some resources. We know there's a lot of other resources. We need to develop and refine the call list. We have one that's acceptable at the National Convention now through U.S. Handicapable, and actually I have 4-step call list myself. Southern California has a call list that's a little more developed than the U.S. Handicapable, but the USH list is basically designed for open floor national convention, and maybe we add 1 call a year to that to expand the variety of the program. Organize and develop handicapable groups. That's needless to say that we want to share with you what we know now and get some additional growth going that way. I've talked to you about what the East and West Coasts have done, and that we have the 2 groups are both U.S. or they're 503C groups, so we can just about do anything we want. Each of us have our own insurance. Most of the clubs have to get their own insurance as well, and they join a dancers association, or in California we have a handicapable association as well for insurance because they need to provide it to the school districts and so on for the events that we have. We've talked about the handicapable square dance conventions this year in Reno, next year in Miami. We go every other year now at this point on either both coasts or alternating coasts. And 2005 is going to be back on the West Coast, Las Vegas, Nevada at the Riviera Hotel. We've got some good prices there. 2006, I don't recall where they put it. 2007, we'll be back on the West Coast in Anaheim. So we've got things going in that regard. We want to develop and distribute brochures to promote and recruit, and we'd like to, of course, get the electronic form of that out there on the website. We have a USH website. You've gotten some information on that in your handouts. We want to develop and distribute a Handicapable club directory. Again, that would be web-based, as well as hard copies in handouts that we have. And I've mentioned we've identified 32 or 33 clubs, but here sets 1 or 2 groups in San Antonio we don't have the information on, and I'm very glad that they joined us today, so we got that information. We want to develop and distribute lists of handicapable friendly festivals and dances. There are a number of festivals, national conventions, USA West, state conventions, various other festivals who have recognized the Handicapable program as viable, and we normally will provide them anywhere from 8 to 15 squares. And so we have gotten a broadened opportunity there and invitations. So they see that the halls are being well used. Locate, select, recruit a Handicapable ambassador. This is a goal of mine. I'd like to, from the dancer population, you've seen that I've developed a caller and a cuer a little bit, and maybe you could call this a poster child or poster dancer or whatever you want to, but I think I would like to try to, if we get some agreement that that's a viable thing, to have a process to annually select an ambassador from the dancer population, and maybe add that to the video and have that person introduced, or maybe lead the grand marches at the conventions, the national convention, those kinds of things, and maybe it would take a little additional funding for that, but that's just a thing I'd like to do. I think it would be good. Promote and support, mentor, and provide guidance around the world. That is a big mouthful, but the opportunity is there. I've had discussion with some of the international callers and some of the groups that would like to expand. And, well, there's a little group in the Netherlands. They can't afford to come here. But I think with some special assistance, we can afford to get someone there to help them with their program and get some material like this to help them, get some teaching guides going. I mean, part of the focus group is going to be timing and lists and all these kinds of things, and developing teaching aids, not only for the callers but for the dancers and the local clubs, just like the USDA. Lots of big opportunities and challenges, I think, for us. I'd like to recognize individuals and groups who provide special efforts, and that would be through taglines or links to our website, inclusion in any materials that we print, including programs for the National Convention or brochures that we put out. And I mentioned that the population to me represents an undetermined, unexplored, and underdeveloped population with just a whole lot of opportunity for growth. Established focus groups, we've talked about that. Just to mention a couple. Wheelchair, we had a contact about wheelchair dancing, and the first thing they wanted to know was, at this panel, will we be able to assist with the timing for wheelchair dancing? No, we cannot. There's only 2 groups that we know of so far that are established wheelchair clubs, and they are specialists in what they do. I have called to 2 of them, actually. No, there's 3 groups. There's 2 of them in the United States and the one in Taiwan. I've called to all of their groups, and you'd be amazed. Actually, they could dance mainstream speed. They just get these things going. Now, if you are going to an assisted living care center or something like that, it's a different story. If you take your handicapable groups to that particular facility to do an exhibition and entertain, you'll find that your dancers can get the wheelchair people going and dancing just by going up to the center and back and circling and promenading. And you really don't need timing. You're just having fun, and that's what that's all about. You know, you get them involved emotionally and physically. And but to do a full teach, no, we don't have that developed yet, but I think we need the help to do that, because there's other opportunities and people would probably like to expand that program. open the communication channel for the Handicapable program. That's my main goal through CALLERLAB, USDA, NEC, the Executive Committee of CALLERLAB. And I think you all know that Michelle is Mike Jacobs. Well, we got a pretty close network with the Executive Committee. I'm going to open it up for just a couple of minutes, or Michelle will. And I'll let you take this microphone, and let's see if we can get some ideas or questions from the floor. And then if maybe we can break about 5 minutes till 3, we'll reconvene upstairs if you'd like to.
Anybody like to share anything? Questions?
Alan Woods from Fort Worth, Texas. Having spent the weekend with Dean Emery, let me add to what Jerry just said. The 2004 convention is in St. Petersburg, Florida. It's all in Florida, but that's close. The 2006 is in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. He is looking at 2 places for 2008, Mississippi Gulf Coast and the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex.
You can tell what Alan's wishing for. Anybody else?
Terry Lewis from Nova Scotia in Canada, and I've worked with some challenged people as well, different characteristics. Some were in wheelchairs, some were handicapable, like you spoke of, and it's a very uplifting, exciting. You can tell by your presentation of how it touches you to see the people having a great time and working together and getting pride in their accomplishment. In my situation, I had care workers that were looking after each of the clients. And do you have to have perhaps a first aid course or something, or an understanding of their medical problems as something to augment your activity in case they do have some type of trouble?
I'll address that from my side and then let Michelle address it. One of my groups is sponsored by the Placer Adult Education Program, and like most education programs, you have to have a certificated person there, and actually they always have 2 people there, and their ratio is supposed to be 1 to 5. It never works. I usually have about 4 squares with 2 people, but they would get involved. I know enough basics about CPR, but if you use common sense, just like any caller's handbook would tell you about, if some dancer is down, you let that be known and you make a circle around that person, and then let somebody who knows what to do is qualified go from there. And maybe you're just on 411 or whatever it is. There's a 911. Information or emergency, one or the other. Yeah, I
Jerry, we don't want you to call.
Yeah, right. Well, I'm thinking ahead because I was thinking about our other group. We have enough experienced people there. I have gotten a little extra training myself just for that purpose. But that was a very good question, Michelle.
I think I work through the Association for Restored Citizens, the ARC, and they have staff, like Jerry said, who are with me, who do have their CPR and their first aid and everything. And sometimes, depending on the group that you have and who's sponsoring your square dancing and things like that, they have the confidentiality issue. But I think it would be helpful to know and to even ask, because some individuals with disabilities do have their seizure disorders and stuff. And just to give you a heads up, just in case something happens. Like I said, the people who are there would be, the ones who would be able. But just so you're aware, and you can, whether it's just, making sure everybody, makes the circle around and stuff, and while you keep everybody going so everybody's not hanging around and stuff. They would have to watch, like I said, confidentiality-wise and stuff. Like I said, it depends on the group. If you have a lot of parents involved, I'm sure the parents wouldn't mind sharing with you if there was anything you felt you really needed to know. But just to keep in mind, but it wouldn't hurt to have just to be prepared. I mean, but just like any other dance, you never know when anything can happen. Good question.
Mine isn't a question. My name is Gloria Roth, but I'd like Jane Carlson to share her many, many years' experience with dancing, teaching blind.
In teaching, the blind, sorry. I had about 4 years at in Watertown, Massachusetts, and they got to the point, 4 or 5 years, I guess it was. We had about a third were totally blind. Some had minimum sight, tunnel vision, and others were albino and had enough sight to be able to see. We got to the point after the 4 years of going to a class level dance and keeping up with the dance. And I'm standing. One of the stories is that I had the square. One square was in dancing. They were the better of the blind, and I'm standing on the side, and the callers are talking to me. I said, I have a square of my blind in there. Please, will you pick it out? There were probably about 20 squares of dancers, and they picked every square but mine. And I said, you'll know when they come off, because when they bow to the partner, bow to the corner, the one that had the most sights would lead a line, and they'd have their hands on their shoulder out and place them in their seats so that they know where to go. But they got through most of the mainstream, and I think the hardest thing I had to teach was a right and left grand, because it isn't what you think, and they had to, if you give a right hand, you think you're going to turn right, but you're turning left. And this helped me in many ways when I started working with the handicap group that I'm working with now, because there were a lot of things that I enabled to teach the blind people, enabled to teach the handicap also. I don't know if there's, I have many stories with the blind, but they were capable of doing, in fact, I have a couple of blind that are now dancing A2 that started with me, and they do advanced rounds, and they're also doing A2 dancing. They know where they were supposed to be, and if the person in A2 wasn't where they were supposed to be, they knew it. So it was when I started, it was they had to know in their mind, like we as callers have to know that if you got the square through 4 hands, you were inside. If you did a right and left through, you were outside. If you veered to the left, they had to mentally see this in their mind. And they got through most of the mainstream in the 4 years that I worked with them.
I've danced with some blind dancers that just exceptionally, the senses, make up for each other when they have that particular handicap. And I know that their secret was just a touch. The timing was there, the positions were there, and it's just, amazing. And I thought I had some blind dancers that were with the Promenade exhibition group, because they styled that much, and they did that well, and took pride and enjoyed themselves just as much as anybody could. Thank you.
Anybody else?
I'm Deco Deck from Arlington, Virginia, just across the Potomac from Washington. We have a lot of handicapped people in Washington. And they're not very capable. But
and we elected.
I had to get through that. I'm an orphan looking for a home. I fell into something 15, 16 years ago when I was getting rid of some of my clubs and not doing so much heavy square dance calling. And I think I'm at your care level with my program. What I have to offer is going to be more something we will take up at the committee meeting. So I'm looking for a home, but instead of bringing people out to me, I go to them. And it's become rather lucrative. I hope that some of you callers may get to enjoy some of those benefits. I'll talk to you at the committee meeting, but I'm hoping I can get there with it. It's at your care level.
Yeah, and you have a funding source that you've found there.
Yeah,
readily
Medicare.
available. Medicare.
What I do is therapeutic dancing, and the name therapeutic was developed by some of the people I started working with, and they were the directors of the daycare center, senior daycare centers. I'm at that point. And they tell me that I am paid through Medicare. They pay the county government takes the money because it's called therapeutic dancing. And they get paid, and I get paid then through them. And it's just not, it's a pretty good deal. And so I'll talk about it later, but I just wanted to see if any of you are interested, come to my therapy program.
Thank you, Deck. Yeah, Deck is being paid on an hourly basis through Medicare or Medicaid, whichever one it is, more than most of us make in a 3-hour workshop, so might be interesting. Did you have another one back here?
Edith Weber with United Square Dancers of America.
Great.
And I just wanted to indicate that our association with the handi-capable portion is mainly monetary. We have made, are going to be making, or have made commitments to donations to the Handicapable West and the Handicapable East conventions. And as well, one of the programs we have is a partial reimbursement of registrations for the national convention. So if anybody is interested in any of that, I don't have anything with me, but I can give you a business card. We can get together. I can get you with the Handicapable chairman for United Square Dancers of America. The other thing is I would like to talk with you guys about making sure that we have appropriate links on our site for your site, so that we can make sure that this information gets to the people that it needs to get to.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? Okay. Yep, we got a couple minutes.
Okay. So how does a novice and beginner like myself get started? What do you suggest, if you can keep it simple?
Well, I would first of all suggest that you read the handout that I did on formation of a club and what these other folks went through. One-night stands are good, but this handout will give you some resources and contacts and what they went through, the needs they identified, if you really want to get a formal thing going. Do you have...
I said touch base with those different associations, because they can help get you somewhere. They can get you a hall. They can get you the materials. Because some of them have, whether it be a recreation program or something, but they can help provide you the things you're going to need, whether it be the hall and different things like that. So if you can... The MH population.
Well, we have, I think, the elements here of a great committee with some resources already that we can work with, and some special interest groups within this special interest group of what we globally call handi-capable dancers. All of them have handicaps of some type, but as we are aware, they are capable, and they need our support. And CALLERLAB's an opportunity for us to extend and grow that support system. And so I really thank all of you for taking your time and showing your interest and coming to this, our first panel. And I hope that you will join us if you can in the first committee meeting. We'll try and keep that under an hour for you, because I also have to catch an airplane at 5 o'clock. I have to get on the shuttle, go to Dallas tonight. Wish I had time to come up to see you. Michelle, thank you very much. You want to wrap it up?
Thank you, Jerry.
Yes.
Don't forget, if you think this was wonderful, like to see it, the panel will be here, but the committee, if you want to be on the committee, put it on your critique sheets. If you found this helpful and you think we should, more people to show more interest, the EC and everything, that's how they plan the convention based upon what everybody's writing on the critique sheets. So please, put your opinions on there, and if you want to be on the committee, put your name or touch base with Jerry Reed and those guys and get on. We need you guys on the committee, so Jerry and I would like lots more people to work with, and thank you for coming.
Thanks again, everyone.
If you're interested, we have our program book, some of the program books from the Handicapable Convention. There's some pictures, some of the registration forms for the Reno Convention. Thanks.